All right, Buck, real quick before we get you out of here, I want to touch on Caleb briefly. I didn't want to start with him because we've
Mhm.
talked about him so much, but QB1, I thought you wrote a really great story for us at foxsports.com just about where he stacks up among other QB1 prospects, meaning guys that have gone first overall in their respective drafts. So you stacked him up against the likes of Michael Vick, Andrew Luck, Matthew Stafford, Cam Newton, Joe Burrow, those types of guys. I thought it was interesting over the last, 20 or so years, you had him ranked sixth among guys who have gone at the top of the draft. I think that's useful context because we get so swept up in this every year where every guy that comes out is generational. And I think it's important to remember that even if Caleb Williams is great, you got to keep all of that context in mind.
Yeah, you got to keep it in mind. And you do want to grade the player against like what traditionally has been the number one overall pick. So I want to give you a definition of like number ones or guys to go top five. So when I came into the league as a scout, the first thing that they tell you to say, hey, if you're going to put a top five grade on a player, it has to be someone that you can envision being a gold jacket player, a Hall of Fame caliber player that he within 2 to 3 years, he's going to dominate the league. He's going to dominate his position. There are going to be conversations with him being the best at that position in his era and in being one of the best to ever play. That's how stringent that list should be. So when you think about the number one quarterbacks that have come off the board, when we talk about the Andrew Luck and how transcendent he was expected to be, Michael Vick being transcendent in terms of his athleticism and all of that other stuff, Cam Newton, Matthew Stafford, those guys had superpowers that you could feel when you watched the tape. Now, people might not have liked what they had stylistically, but there were things that you could point to. When I look at Caleb Williams, everyone would talk about the spectacular plays that he's able to make off, like, look, out of structure. He gets outside of structure. He makes these crazy throws where he throws from a variety of different platforms that you absolutely love. You see him run and do all of that other stuff. But I must say this. He's only a tick under over 6'1". He's 215 to 225 pounds. So he's not physically imposing like a Cam Newton. He's not the speedster that Michael Vick was. So it's that gray area in terms of what he's able to do. And so I have him slotted right behind Joe Burrow because the conversation when Joe Burrow came out was very similar. Remember, Joe Burrow had look, he started at Ohio State. He had an okay season before he really broke out his final season, and they
Right.
had that super team where they did it. To me, Caleb Williams and Joe Burrow are close in terms of when you give them the right playmakers around them, man, they can deal like the Vegas casino dealer. Like they're just the blackjack dealer, just spraying it all over the place. What we need to see from Caleb Williams, can he play on time and in rhythm? Because it's great to have the guy that can run around and make all these spectacular plays. But when you need it as an offensive coordinator, can he do it as it was instructed coming into the huddle? That's why when people make the comparison to Patrick Mahomes, I'm like, no, he to me reminds me more of Russell Wilson and Russell Wilson's prime in Seattle. Yes, he has the magic where he can close the game out in the fourth quarter, but I don't know if you want to put it all on him to do what Patrick Mahomes has had to do early in his career. I don't know if he has Patrick Mahomes caliber talent. I see him more as a Russell Wilson type, which is certainly good enough to be a perennial Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion. I just think it's different than the guy that we're going to recognize in the next 10 years as the GOAT, the greatest that we've ever seen play the position.
I think Russell Wilson is a really interesting comp, and I think I can even see the similarity to Joe Burrow. They don't look the same playing, and I think Caleb has a stronger arm than Joe, but just the way that they do it, it feels similar when I watch. I'm curious, one last thing for you. If Caleb has a superpower, or maybe I don't know if you can have a superpower before you've
Mhm.
even gotten to the league, but if you were going to identify what he does best, what we would call his superpower, what do you think that is?
I would say just the improvisational playmaking ability. That's his superpower. But I would say from a physical standpoint, he's different than some of these other guys. And even Joe Burrow, I think people would say that Joe Burrow's superpower was his processing speed, how quickly he could get LSU to empty the formation and say that, hey, man, y'all can bring pressure, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm going to beat the blitz with my mind. That's what he could do. For Caleb, I don't know if Caleb has that because he certainly doesn't have what Cam and Michael Vick had in terms of the superior physical talents. So his ability to run around and make plays, that would be a superpower. But what if I say this? Because we didn't get the testing numbers from Caleb Williams. What if I told you that Justin Fields was a better athlete and maybe Justin Fields has a stronger arm?
I
Like,
I I
how does
I
that
believe that. I don't have a problem
so
believing that. Like Justin Fields is a
okay,
freak. Let's not get it twisted.
okay, right. Okay, so how does that conversation play out? We know that they made the choice and Caleb Williams is a guy, but if we talk about physical talents, Justin Fields' physical talents are superior to Caleb Williams. And so it makes for a different conversation. But Caleb Williams is the number one. But I'm just saying, as we built him up to be uh, this mythical figure, this superhero, I think we just kind of need to temper our expectations how he's going to take the league by storm. His physicality, his physical tools are not why he would dominate. It would be his ability to work his way out of jams while being a very accurate passer and playmaker that will separate him from the other number ones that have come in this league.
I think that's why this is such a useful conversation because it's easy to just be like, "Oh my God, he's the best prospect in decades," and I don't think that's true. I do think he's completely worthy of going first in this draft. The accuracy is phenomenal in my opinion. The arm strength is more than good enough, and I love. Okay, Buck, see if you follow me here. I've been saying this for a while. I think I've seen other people say it too, but his athleticism reminds me of Mahomes in the sense that he's
Mhm.
he's always just fast enough. Like he doesn't look like
Yeah.
Michael Vick out there, but like if he needs 4 yards, he's going to get 5, and if he needs 10 yards, he's going to get 12. It always seems like it works out that way.
No, that's a great comparison because that's what Patrick Mahomes does. It's I guess it was the funny, awkward athleticism that Patrick Mahomes does that makes you look up at the Super Bowl and be like, man, he has 67 yards rushing.
Right.
Like when does he pick up these yards? And it's almost like the cartoon character that's running from the bad guy, where he's just able to get away and do it, kind of like Bugs Bunny running around, like just enough to get away from the bad guy. That is what Caleb Williams has. It's also what Pat Mahomes has. So that is a good comparison to bring it back full circle because you only need to be fast enough to escape the rush. You don't have to be the fastest guy on the field to be able to do it. If you can escape the rush and make the plays that he's been able to show that he can make with his arm, that's plenty enough superhero stuff to be able to get it done uh, with your superpowers.
I'm not going to fall victim to hyperbole because it was just 2021 when we had a loaded quarterback class like this. So
I
it's
think I said it was the golden era of quarterback play. We're in the golden era. And here we are with two starters of the 19 quarterbacks that have been selected in the past two drafts. It's a little different. It
hey,
is a little different.
but all it takes is one draft class to hit and we're back on the train. So we'll see. I'm so excited to see where these guys land. I'm so excited to see how they play.